Prosecution, the night before they believe she was killed, April 23rd, the night of the 22nd, there was a big fight and they went back and forth with text messages. She was upset because he was seeing other girls and she was threatening in those text messages to disclose information about him that would get him in trouble and, quote, ruin his career.
Prosecutors have reportedly dropped disturbing new details tied to the David case, and people online are calling the latest claims absolutely horrifying. According to investigators, Celeste was allegedly pregnant during her relationship with David, a revelation that shocked many following the case closely.
So he actually gets an Uber for her, according to prosecutors, and has her delivered to his home that day, April 23rd, to come to the house. He pays the Uber to drop her off, and according to them, that is when they say he stabbed her to death, and he actually waited, according to this complaint, until she, quote-unquote, bled out.
David is still sitting in jail connected to the death of 14-year-old Celeste Reeves, but prosecutors now claim the situation behind closed doors may have been far darker than the public first understood. Reports also allege Celeste may have been around 13 years old when the alleged pregnancy happened, adding an even heavier and deeply troubling layer to the investigation that has people reacting all over social media. Authorities also revealed chilling accusations about what allegedly happened after Celeste's death.
Crime scene inside his garage. Investigators reportedly believe he placed her body inside an inflatable pool before allegedly attempting to clean the area using a chainsaw.
Prosecutors claim David may have tried to hide evidence by creating what investigators described as a staged scene inside his garage. Investigators reportedly believe her body was placed inside an inflatable pool before the area was allegedly cleaned in an attempt to remove evidence, including claims involving a chainsaw. Those allegations stunned people inside the courtroom because prosecutors described the situation as unusually calculated and disturbing. During this week's hearing, even more details reportedly surfaced about David and Celeste's relationship, with prosecutors suggesting things may have become far more serious and complicated than many originally believed.
Well, singer David's attorneys pressed the DA's office and said that they want a preliminary hearing as soon as possible. They didn't get the hearing yesterday, but what they got were the prosecutors laying out what they say is very damning evidence that proves David is the one who murdered Celeste Rivas Hernandez.
Investigators also confirmed that Celeste had allegedly been pregnant at one point, something people online had already been heavily speculating about because of messages reportedly linked to her Discord account. Now, prosecutors say that information is officially being treated as a major part of the investigation, making the case feel even more disturbing to many following it closely. Authorities also stated that David was allegedly the last person seen driving the Tesla before Celeste's remains were later discovered inside the vehicle's front trunk. That detail immediately raised serious questions online, especially after prosecutors connected the timeline to surveillance footage and other evidence presented during the hearing. According to prosecutors, footage and investigative evidence reportedly showed David leaving his home, moving the Tesla, and then quickly returning to his tour bus shortly afterward. Prosecutors also included those allegations in a legal filing released after the hearing, claiming the evidence strongly ties him to the vehicle before the remains were eventually discovered. One of the biggest mysteries in this entire investigation has been who may have helped move David's Tesla before it later ended up sitting in an impound lot. For months, many people online suspected Neo Langston could have been involved somehow. But now, according to sources connected to the case, investigators are reportedly looking into claims that David may have been trying to shift suspicion toward Neo from the beginning.
It's so odd. I haven't seen anything like this because next month there is going to be a preliminary hearing. You don't have to request it. It's automatic that there's a prelim. So the prosecution doesn't have to say, we're going to lay out what we're going to show in the preliminary hearing. You just do it. And they laid out their case in a document that they filed called the prosecution's preliminary hearing brief, which I've never seen.
According to those reports, David allegedly wanted Neo to appear responsible if investigators ever got too close to uncovering the truth. That claim completely changed how many people online now view the situation. Prosecutors also revealed troubling allegations involving how long David had reportedly known Celeste, adding even more intense scrutiny to the case. According to court documents, prosecutors claim David first met Celeste when she was only 11 years old. They also alleged that by the time she turned 13, the relationship had already crossed serious legal and personal boundaries. Prosecutors further claimed that even after law enforcement allegedly warned David that Celeste had been reported missing, he still reportedly continued trying to stay in contact with her behind the scenes. At one point, investigators alleged David drove Celeste back to Lake Elsinore. Prosecutors also claim he allegedly paid another student close to $1,000 to secretly provide Celeste with a cell phone so the two could continue communicating without attracting attention from adults or authorities. That allegation especially shocked many people following the case because prosecutors described it as a deliberate effort to keep contact hidden. According to investigators, David was allegedly making ongoing attempts to maintain private communication no matter what obstacles came up. People watching the hearing said they were stunned by how far prosecutors claim he may have gone to keep the relationship secret. The case became even more disturbing after prosecutors revealed the amount of digital evidence investigators reportedly recovered during the investigation. Prosecutor Beth Silverman allegedly presented text messages between David and Celeste that referenced pregnancy concerns, emergency contraception, and conversations involving medical treatment. Investigators also claimed they recovered explicit images and additional material that prosecutors believe supports the alleged timeline of the relationship.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they wanted to lay out all the evidence they had.
They laid out from the entire timeline from when David and Celeste first met, when she was 11 years old, right through him leaving his car on the street with her remains in that car.
Because of those claims, the courtroom reportedly became extremely tense as more details were discussed. According to prosecutors, the digital evidence creates what they describe as a detailed timeline of what may have been happening privately over an extended period. Prosecutors also argue the investigation does not rely only on witness statements because much of the evidence reportedly comes from messages, photos, and online communication records recovered during the case. Instead, prosecutors argue that the records themselves help explain both the nature of the relationship and the events investigators are now focused on in court. The massive amount of electronic evidence reportedly tied to the case has become one of the biggest discussion points online, with many people shocked by how much information investigators claim they recovered. According to prosecutors, David allegedly ended his relationship with Celeste in November 2024, but investigators claim the communication between them never fully stopped after that point. Court documents reportedly state the two continued messaging each other for months, even after tensions between them allegedly became more emotional and unstable behind the scenes. Prosecutors say the conversations reportedly included long and emotional arguments, especially in the period leading up to the night Celeste was last seen alive. Investigators allege Celeste had become increasingly upset over David's involvement with other women after allegedly being led to believe they still had a future together. Those reported arguments quickly became one of the most heavily discussed parts of the hearing because prosecutors claimed the situation had been building for months. According to prosecutors, the conflict allegedly escalated shortly before her death.
When Celeste went missing in February of 2024, the Riverside Sheriff Department actually called David to ask if he was with her, and he said that he only met her one time. And he also told the police at this time he didn't know she was a minor. Prosecutors then say Celeste returned home in February and her parents took her phone. And David then went to Lake Elsinore and allegedly paid one of her friends, which I assume is this picture, $1,000 to give Celeste a new phone.
Court filings claim Celeste reportedly threatened to expose damaging information connected to their relationship, something investigators believe David feared could seriously hurt both his career and public image if it became public knowledge. Investigators are now arguing that this alleged conflict may have become a key part of the motive prosecutors are presenting in court. Prosecutors also claim David arranged for an Uber to pick Celeste up from Lake Elsinore on April 23, 2025, the same night investigators say she was killed. According to court records, David allegedly stayed in contact with her through text messages during the ride, adding another major detail prosecutors are now focusing on in court. Records reportedly show the Uber driver dropped Celeste off near David's Hollywood Hills home at around 10:10 p.m. But according to prosecutors, only about 20 minutes later, David allegedly started sending messages asking where she was, even though investigators believe she had already arrived at the property by then. That timing immediately became a major focus inside the courtroom. According to prosecutors, those messages allegedly were not random at all. Investigators believe the texts and phone calls may have been part of a calculated attempt to create confusion and help establish an alibi. Court filings reportedly argue that David may have already been trying to shape a defense almost immediately after Celeste arrived at the home, a claim that left many people stunned during the hearing.
A brand new Discord message was just leaked from July of 2024 where David says, "I'll join the group chat with wifey and give y'all story time." He then says, "Me and deleted user got a kid on the way." And that same deleted user posted this image, which is allegedly of Celeste's hands with the name David. And this image where she is allegedly with David somewhere that looks like backstage. And the timeline does match up to after she went missing and was with David.
Investigators also claim the timeline and digital evidence point more toward careful planning rather than panic or chaos. Prosecutors further allege that shortly after Celeste entered the residence, she was attacked and killed. Those allegations quickly became some of the most heavily discussed details connected to the case because prosecutors described the sequence of events as unusually deliberate and organized. According to prosecutors, David later continued calling and texting Celeste's phone around 11:30 p.m., once again asking where she was, despite investigators believing he already knew the answer by that time. Prosecutors argue those actions were intentional attempts to create the appearance that Celeste never actually made contact with him that night. Many people following the hearings online described those allegations as some of the darkest and most disturbing claims revealed in court so far. It also appears David's defense attorney, Marilyn Bednarski, requested additional time to review the massive amount of evidence prosecutors recently handed over, showing just how large and complex the investigation has reportedly become. Considering the huge amount of evidence reportedly being discussed during these hearings, both sides clearly have a massive amount of material to review. But even with requests for more time, the case against David reportedly keeps growing more intense with every new court appearance as prosecutors continue revealing additional claims and evidence. Now, this next part of the investigation has especially shocked people following the case. Prosecutors allege that after Celeste's death, David may have gone to extreme lengths in an attempt to hide evidence and dispose of her remains. According to court filings, investigators believe he purchased several tools and supplies in the days after her death, including a shovel that prosecutors say was allegedly ordered through Postmates from Home Depot. Prosecutors also claim David later purchased 2 chainsaws through Amazon, followed by a body bag, a heavy-duty laundry bag, and a blue inflatable pool. Investigators say those purchases raised even more suspicion because the items were allegedly ordered using the name Victoria Mendez instead of David's real identity. That detail immediately sparked major reactions online because prosecutors believe it may point to an effort to avoid drawing attention while buying the materials. According to prosecutors, investigators now believe some of those items may have later been connected to the alleged crime scene. Court filings also claim investigators believe David allegedly used the inflatable pool inside his garage in an effort to contain blood and protect the floor during what prosecutors described as a dismemberment process.
This is what Celeste Rivas Hernandez looked like when David first met her. She was just 11 years old, as if 14 wasn't bad enough.
Those allegations reportedly left the courtroom in complete silence because of how graphic and calculated investigators claim the situation may have been. Court documents reportedly claim that plastic fragments recovered from Celeste's remains were consistent with material linked to the same type of inflatable pool investigators connected to earlier purchases. Prosecutors also allege that chainsaws and possibly other tools may have been used during attempts to destroy evidence, making the allegations even more disturbing for people following the hearings. Another chilling claim presented in court involves Celeste's fingers. According to prosecutors, her left ring finger and pinky finger were allegedly removed because one reportedly contained a tattoo connected to David. Investigators claim those fingers were never recovered, adding another dark and unsettling layer to an already horrifying investigation. That detail especially shocked many people online because of how specific and deliberate prosecutors say the alleged actions may have been.
Celeste was upset that David was seeing other girls and she threatened his career. The next day, David invited Celeste over to his home and he ordered her an Uber in order to get her there. It was then that he took her life. He did so by stabbing her to death and allowing her to, quote, bleed out. David then takes Celeste's phone and goes to Santa Barbara. During that time, he is calling and texting her phone, quote, "Where are you?" as to pretend like she never showed up. However, at that time, she was actually bleeding out in an inflatable pool inside David's garage.
Investigators reportedly served David with a search warrant back in September 2025, and prosecutors now claim that even during those earlier searches, authorities were already noticing signs that something inside the property appeared seriously wrong. According to reports discussed in court, investigators allegedly discovered evidence they believed was consistent with violent activity and attempts to destroy evidence inside the residence. Prosecutors also say DNA evidence was recovered during the investigation, which reportedly added even more weight to the case authorities were building against him. Many people following the case were surprised by how much evidence investigators allegedly uncovered, because early rumors online had suggested authorities may not have found much inside the home at all, but later court hearings reportedly painted a completely different picture. Prosecutors now claim the searches produced major forensic evidence connected to the investigation, leading many people online to question the earlier public narrative surrounding the case. As for David's current situation, reports claim he remains in custody under heavily restricted conditions while the investigation and court proceedings continue moving forward. According to sources discussing the jail conditions, David is allegedly allowed to shower only every other day and can reportedly make phone calls during those same limited periods. Reports also claim he receives very little outdoor recreation time each week and currently does not have access to television or visitors while being held in custody. Those details spread across social media almost immediately, with many people reacting strongly to the reported conditions inside the facility. One law enforcement source allegedly described the section where David is being housed as dirty, chaotic, and extremely rough. People familiar with the jail environment have also reportedly described the facility itself as harsh and unpleasant, adding even more attention to his current situation. Because of the seriousness of the accusations against him, reactions online have remained intense. Many people openly said they have very little sympathy for the reported conditions David is currently facing behind bars. At the same time, what continues disturbing many followers of the case is the idea that prosecutors believe so much of this allegedly happened inside a luxury Hollywood Hills home, while everything around the property appeared completely normal from the outside. Investigators claim David was allegedly ordering supplies online and continuing daily routines during the same period authorities believe evidence may have been destroyed. That contrast alone reportedly left many people stunned because prosecutors argue it showed an attempt to carry on as if nothing unusual had happened.
Prosecutors are alleging that David was the last person to drive his Tesla before they found Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And prosecutors are saying this is all on video footage. Mind you, David's Tesla was parked for the very last time on Bluebird Avenue before he went on tour.
Another major question people continue raising involves who else may have allegedly been near the property during that time and what they may have seen or known. Some reports tied to the investigation suggested that additional people may have also been staying inside the home, partly based on medications and personal belongings investigators allegedly discovered during searches of the property. That immediately sparked major speculation online about whether anyone else could have possibly heard suspicious activity or noticed warning signs during that time period without fully understanding what was happening. According to many people closely following the case, those unanswered questions are continuing to fuel huge discussions surrounding the investigation. Every time prosecutors release new information, people online say the situation somehow becomes even darker and more disturbing. Now, many viewers are wondering whether investigators could eventually bring additional charges as they continue digging deeper into everything allegedly connected to the case. With the amount of evidence and allegations currently being discussed in court, this entire situation has shocked people all across the internet. Many followers of the case say they are still stunned by how much information prosecutors have reportedly revealed during the hearings, especially the digital evidence, surveillance footage, and claims involving the alleged cover-up. Most importantly, many people continue sending prayers and support to Celeste's loved ones and everyone affected by this tragedy. As the court process continues, people are hoping the full truth eventually comes out and that justice is reached through the legal system. Rest in peace, Celeste. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with others following the case because there are still many developments people are closely watching. Also, drop a comment below with your thoughts on these latest updates because viewers have a lot to say about everything revealed so far. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.